again, Dr. Traeger here. So we just finished up with our 18-month visit, and right now you should be feeling like you're in the sweet spot of parenting. This age is a ton of fun, and there's so many things that are happening and going on that we want to spend some time kind of reviewing those things. Now remember, the purpose of these videos is to kind of hit on some of the things that we didn't get a chance to spend a lot of time on in the office, and then also so that you can show people these videos that weren't with you at the appointment, so that way they can kind of get the feel for what's happening at this age. Okay, so first things first, now that we're at 18 months, this age can be a ton of fun. So you've noticed that everything you're doing is a new and exciting experience for your kid, and it's really can be a lot of joy at this age. Now, at the same time, the tantrums and things like that are legitimate, okay? So people talk about the terrible twos. It is absolutely not the terrible twos at 2. It is actually the terrible right now. So you're going through that right now, and that is okay. Now, one of the places that tantrums really start to pop up is when it comes to mealtime. So remember, go back in time. Remember, 9-month-olds, 12-month-olds, they ate everything. They thought it was great. 15-month-olds usually get a little bit of an opinion about things. And at 18 months, most kids, they will straight up tell you, no, I'm not eating that. And you have to decide as the parent, what are you going to do? And what we would encourage you to do, true story, is just ignore it. Okay, so you offer whatever you're offering, whatever the rest of the family is eating, and you say, here's what we're eating. And if they choose not to eat it, then you say, okay, one more try. Okay, don't want it? Okay, all done. And then you just stop. And what you're doing is you're showing the kid, hey, this is what the family eats. And if you don't want to eat it, then the next meal time is later on. Now, there's some modifications to this that people will do. So one thing that they'll do is they'll say, well, we don't eat very good anyway, so let's give the kid, the healthy foods or whatever. Well, that's fine, that's fine. Okay, try and make them eat what you're eating. Families will say, well, we're having something spicy. Well, then fine, you make it less spicy. Or those should be rare situations where you're giving them something different than you. Generally, you want to be described as the type of family that says, this is what we eat and this is what we eat, okay, and that's it, and don't go from there. So the variations that other people do is they'll say, well, we make them take a no thank you bite, okay? That's fine if you want to tell them you have to try this, but what you're doing is you're giving the child the power then, because if they choose not to eat it, and you've already said you must take a bite before you get up. How big of a bite does it have to be? Does it have to be touching it to your tongue? Does it have to be a bite? And if they don't do it, what's the consequence for it? Are you going to be able to enforce that? So what we want you to do is say, don't even pick that fight. Why put yourself in a situation where you could possibly lose? Just say, we're not going to do this. You're going to eat what we're eating. If you don't want it, then that's fine. We're not making you something else. We're all done. Same thing with, finish your plate, things like that. No, we just want you to stop that. Okay, you're going to find that there's enough stress involved with parenting that this is one fight that you can choose not to fight. Just don't fight it, okay, instead of we're eating. So when they come back to you and they say, oh, I'm hungry later on, then you say, okay, that's fine. Lunch is in an hour, or dinner is in a couple hours, whatever. Or sometimes families will say, well, what we'll do is we'll take the plate and we'll put it in the fridge, and when they ask for it later on, then we'll give it back to them. Well, what if it's not convenient time to eat? What if it's time to get in the car and go? What if it's nap time and we're using this as a stall tactic? What if we're trying to get in bed and it's now 8 o'clock at night and the kid says, nope, you know what, now I'm hungry. So it's better just to not even engage in those fights. That's my opinion. Give it a shot. See what works for your family. Some people, they don't mind it. If they don't mind it, then I don't know why they'll tell parents, they'll tell other families, they'll say, man, my kid's really picky. Well, okay, that's fine. But just better to kind of realize that at this age, everybody goes through this to some degree. Some kids are more than others, and just choose not to fight that fight. It'll make your life a lot easier. When it comes to whole milk, again, maybe they're drinking milk, maybe they're still doing breast milk, that's okay. Less than 30 ounces, okay? It's unusual to take more than 40 to 50 ounces of milk a day. Less than 30 ounces, that's 3 or 4 sippy cups a day. The rest should be water. And then juices, things like that, 2-ish, okay, let's aim for 2-ish. Special treat here and there, a little bit here and there, that's okay, but really we prefer closer to 2. The other thing is 2 at this age is now we're at 18 months. So a popular question is vitamins. Should your kid be taking a vitamin at 18 months or at 2 or things like that? So what we'll tell you is that if you're giving them a wide variety of foods, vitamins probably aren't really necessary. Okay, now if you are on a weird family diet where you guys say, we don't eat meat, we don't eat this, then yeah, vitamins probably not a bad idea. Get something cheap, something, you know, that's from a reliable brand. But vitamins like gummy vitamins and things like that, you don't really need to do it. I will say that my kids do get the little chewy gummies that we get them from Sam's Club. They're generic, and they get that, and they get a vitamin D at this age. A couple different reasons why. Number one, it makes us feel better. So it really does. And then the second thing is, it's really cute when they go to like, when you go to like EMAC and Volios and they get the cone, and it's like, wow, there's vitamins on the cone. And it's kind of like a childhood rite of passage. And if you want to do it, that really is okay. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But don't feel like it's necessary, and don't think that we're making up for it with their picky eating. The other thing is people will see these shakes. You know, they're basically chocolate milkshakes that are used as a meal supplement or things like that. Remember, every kid is picky at this age, and the reason why they're starting to get picky is because their growth curve is slowing down. They don't need as many calories, so they're starting to flatten, or they're not supposed to grow as quickly as they were previously. So when your child says, "I'm not hungry, I don't want to eat this," all done, they're not saying, "I need something else like a milkshake." Now, if you want to give them those things, you know, in certain situations, you know, families really feel like they have to, then just be prepared, because they're going to fill up on those calories with that, and they're not going to want their green beans and things like that, because they're already picky, and now they're full from something else. Same thing with you. If I say, "Hey guys, guess what we're having for dinner tonight? We're having broccoli. Come on over, we're having broccoli. That's it, just broccoli." And you'll say, "No, I'm not that hungry," especially if you've had a milkshake beforehand. If you're hungry enough, you like the broccoli, you know. So it's it's a parenting style thing, and we'd like you to pick the fights that you can actually win and go from there. But we don't need the protein shakes, and you definitely don't need vitamins and things like that at this point. Just a good, regular, wide variety of foods at this age that you and your family are eating, which should be really, really good. All right. The second thing is that another thing at this age is that we're going to the bathroom a whole bunch. Those diapers are interesting at this age. So toilet training. Now, I know Grandma is going to tell you, "Oh, you were toilet trained when you were 18 months. Okay, thanks, Grandma. That's great. Most kids in this age in this country toilet train much closer to 2.5, and that's okay. So when it comes to toilet training, we're going to talk about that at 2. Okay, so right then now, if they want to fight that fight, go. You're probably not going to win it, but 2, we'll definitely talk about that a whole lot more. The one thing is at 2, we'll also talk about switching the car seat around maybe, but keep them rear facing at this point. We want them to be rear facing in the car seat. That is the safest for them at this point. Okay, so now that we're at this really fun age of 18 months, there's a lot of different things that are going to be going on. Number one, you hopefully are noticing that you can play with your kids now. Okay, it is so much more fun to throw a ball to them or do things like that. Those are great. Those are the kinds of things that 18-month-olds should be able to do. So they should be able to play a little bit of a cooperative game with you. They should be able to help themselves get dressed by sticking their arms in the sleeves, or helping themselves get undressed. They should be able to, when you're flipping pages in books, they should be able to point and say, you know, "Look, where's the cat? Where's the whatever?" And they'll point, and they'll even show you the things that they like by pointing at those things. And it's exciting. Isn't that really, really cool? And it's exciting because they get that interaction with you. They really like that. And what's really cool is at this age is that they look for that interaction with you. And they also look for that interaction when it comes to new situations or scary situations. So hopefully you notice when we're in the office, you know, a doctor comes in, you know, we sit in the corner of the room and kind of stay away for a little bit because we know stranger anxiety will still be there for a while. But they're going to look right at you and they're going to say, "Is this guy okay?" Same thing with other situations. When you're dropping off at daycare or at the store, you know, and someone starts coming up to you, if mom or dad is real reserved and staying away, the kid's going to pick up on those clues. Same thing with if you're really into it, like, "Hey, it's Grandma. Hey, it's my friend Susie. They're coming to see us," or whatever. You know, they're going to hopefully pick up on those things. And the way you behave is the way they're going to behave. Hopefully you've really noticed that when it's come to these milestones, like with walking and things like that. If your kid is walking and they trip and fall and you run right over and it's, "Oh my goodness, you're hurt," that's going to freak them out a little bit more. Okay, we want to say, "Great job, look at you, you're getting up, yay," okay, you know, and trying to motivate them that way. it really will make things a lot better for you. And there's this thing that we talk about as kids get older. We talk about resilience, okay? And what we really want to do is we want to build resilience in our kids, and it starts at this age. So having a good, supportive, consistent environment really helps with those things. So be a motivator, try and motivate them, but you praise them for their effort and not necessarily for their outcomes. Okay, so if they're walking and they fall, hey, good job trying to get up. That's great. Oh, they're walking and they cried. Of course they're gonna cry. So go give it your best shot as a parent and see how it goes. The other thing is at this age, when it comes to eating, they're going to start using a spoon to be able to feed themselves with. They scribble better than they did even a couple months ago. And then they're going to be able to use some words for some help. So they can actually say help or something, or mom or something when they need something. They're getting that communication is going better. And they should at this point have somewhere between 7 and 20 words or so. It's actually really cool. The normal low limit is 7. So when you guys come into the office, if you have less than 7 words, then automatically we're going to send you for a speech therapy evaluation, because by this age you should feel very confident in the number of words that they have, and about 7. Very few kids have more than 20 words, so if you've got one of those that's a talker, good for you. Okay, keep talking to them. That's really good. When they walk upstairs, you should be able to hold their hand, and they should be able to take 2 steps at a time. They should be throwing balls at you and stuff like that. And body parts, so where's your ears, where's your toes, where's your nose, things like that. At this point we should be working on learning, and they should be able to have at least 2 of those, which is super exciting. All right, so the tantrums, like we mentioned already, the tantrums are real, okay? And you should be aiming to provide a firm, clear, and consistent place for them to be, okay? So the parameters that they're allowed to operate. So no, you can't climb on top of the table. No, you can't get in the fridge, things like that. And you pick them and you dump them someplace else and tell them no, and discourage it that way. What's really nice is that if you're consistent with the tantrums and stuff, then things do supposedly get better. They really do. And every kid's a little bit different, and it's a little bit harder. But again, we don't want the rules to change in the middle of the game for them. Try and be as consistent as possible with those things. Same thing when it comes to tantrums. If they're throwing a fit, get up and walk out of the room. And if you're doing it right, they're going to follow you. Okay, they're going to get up and they're going to follow you and drop to the ground in that room too. And that's okay, because we're showing them, no, this isn't how we do this. Okay, and eventually it will start to stop. Same thing with the tantrums, especially around, in the afternoons. Some parents will say, well, my kid really doesn't like to sleep very much. And I'll say, well, maybe they're so whiny and fussy because they're so tired. It's like, dude, dump them in the crib and go from there. At this age, we still should be sleeping all night long. We should be sleeping in our own crib. Not a fan of the toddler bed at this age. Why? Because they should feel safe and comfortable in their room, or in their little bed, in their crib. So the idea is that if they need to have a time in there to take a nap, good. And if they're cool and they're safe and they can't climb out, then they feel safe and they feel comfortable in there, and it's great. It's really, really good. If they're in a toddler bed at this age, a lot of times they'll get up and walk out on their own, or in the middle of the night they'll go make themselves a sandwich or something. So try and keep them in the crib as long as you can. My youngest was in the crib until she was about 3.5. Even though she's a giant, she didn't really fit very good in there, but she was cozy in there, and she didn't try and climb out or anything else like that. Some other kids, like with my others, they were evicted around this age, so they got kicked out, and then we had to put them into a toddler bed at that point. And then what you do is you take their entire room and turn their room into one big toddler crib. Okay, so you put a gate on the door, or you close the door so they can't get out, and you just take out anything out there. So one of my kids, we had to take everything out. I mean, it was the dresser, everything. Why? Because all night long they'd play with it, or they'd climb on it, or they'd try and jump off it. The second one, it was like you could have everything in there, and they were so totally cool in there, and they were really good about it. But every kid is different, and you have to see with your own. And that's one of the things that is so fun about this age, is because the personality of your kid is coming out. Okay, so you can look back and you say, oh man, remember those long nights we had at 4 months? Yeah, that's why we're like this at 18 months. Or you can look back and say, whoa, this kid is super cool and super chill. And what's nice about that is it's great. Every kid's different, and you get to go for it. So like I said, this really should feel like the sweet spot of parenting for you. You should feel like things are going really, really great. And if you're not, you need to let me know about that. If there's some weird behaviors that are going on, let us know, okay? And if there's developmentally things aren't going the way we expect, then we definitely should be getting in for early intervention services and things like that. So, so that's great. So let me know how things are going. The next time we see each other won't be for 6 months. Okay, so the next time we'll see you is when the baby is 2 years old, and at 2, again, it's a totally fun thing and a new animal altogether, which is really, really great. I hope it's summertime where you are right now. If it's not, if it's wintertime, summer does come and it does get better. But what's really fun about the next year, okay, of this age, is that you go to a park and it's the kid's gonna go play, and you're gonna play with them, and then they're gonna come back, and it's a good way to kill a couple hours. I joke that you'll never have another adult conversation for at least a couple years, because if you're around a bunch of other adults, you're gonna be talking to them, and the kid's gonna be playing at your feet, and then one kid goes this way, one kid goes this way. Okay, I'll go. Hey, we'll see you we'll come back, and then they come back, and you get to finish that conversation. It's really funny. So, but this is great. All right. Well, great. We'll see you guys at 2, and have a nice day. Thank you.